When NBA Courtside landed on the N64, it was fair to say it was pretty much a game which came out of nowhere and was an instant classic. In comparison to other basketball games of the time, it felt genuinely cutting edge, with some great visuals and most importantly fantastic AI. The same excitement was never going to come when NBA Courtside 2 was announced, simply for the fact that when you think of sports game sequels, you often think of half-baked updates. Basketball fans, however, can rejoice because NBA Courtside 2 takes everything that was great about the first title and adds so much more. It's easy to see why it's considered the definitive basketball game on the N64. Landing on store shelves in 1999, NBA Courtside 2 brings Kobe Bryant's magic back to the console through developer Left Field Productions. Published once again by Nintendo, it's easy to see why the Big N wanted to ensure this came to the console as soon as possible. Like most sports titles, it really helps if you are familiar with the basic rules of the game, although they can be tweaked in the options menu depending on how much of a simulation type affair that you enjoy. The basic gameplay is nothing out of the ordinary, however when you get into the finer details of the game, this is where it really starts to shine. With Kobe Bryant doing the motion capture, there's a very fluid-like motion to how the games pan out. Of course, by today's standards, this would look dreadful, but for its time there was nothing else like it on the console. There have been many moves added, but these are not just outlandish dunks, but you also have new no-look passes and plays. With the full NBA license for all the teams, players, and adding a new level of polish, it really does give the game a truly authentic NBA experience. But my personal favourite addition was the arcade mode. This is nothing out of the ordinary or on the scale of NBA Jam, so for those hoping for an over-the-top gameplay, you may be disappointed. But what it does give you is unlimited turbo, enhanced stats, and random high score markers on the court, which allows you to really rack up a high score. It's not uncommon in this mode to be able to hit some full court shots, and they'll definitely give you a kick when you pull one off. The arcade mode itself is for those people who are wanting a more casual experience, but where the game really shines is in its deeper single player modes. The season play will now allow you to play through multiple seasons, so for those of you wanting to feel like you're building your own dynasty, you'll be able to get into the depths of your squad and make draft picks with the hope of finding a rising star. When you're actually in the game though, even on rookie level the game still packs a vastly superior challenge over its predecessor. The AI has been improved further, even from the great AI of the first game. And if you're used to other basketball games, you're probably going to have an adjustment period. This is because on both offense and defense, the attention to detail is fantastic. For example, if you get a turnover or an interception, the other team will scramble all over you directly and try to hold up your attack. If you start to linger around the 3-point line, they sense your intentions and will send more players to double team you to block your shot. This is not only in a team sense, but individual players will also be targeted if you have mismatches in your lineup. This is a game you really need to think about approaching in different ways rather than always relying on star players. Speaking of players, creating your own player is an improvement, however for me personally it lacks the depth of what you would hope for even for a game of this time. The faces, skin tones and hairstyles are on the limited side, so you'll often have to make do with what's available rather than being able to make some awesome creations. Still, it's fun to be able to make yourself in the game and then hit the course to try it out. On a plus point though, the player facial work is actually excellent for the time, and if you have a memory of the stars of the era, then most of the time you'll be able to instantly recognise them if you zoom the camera in close enough or watch replays. Some players also have multiple expressions, and so as you watch the replays, you can see them change from grimaces to smiles as they take on the points. The overall level of animation is also improved from the original game because most of the time the game runs fluidly and this results in some fast-paced end-to-end matches. There are some minor glitches you may come across, most noticeably when the other team scores, but these seem to reset quickly themselves. Whilst that's thankfully not game breaking, they often seem to come at a time when you could have benefited from a quick break. Some players do also have exclusive moves, most notably the cover star himself, and so you may want to head into the practice mode to warm up your skills and find out how best to use them in your attacking play. Your shooting skills can also be honed in the new 3-point shootout mode, which is a novel feature, but one which can be a whole lot of fun if you're playing it with friends who perhaps don't fancy playing through a standard game. Rounding off the overall package is the excellent audio and sound in the game. Sure, you could say the basic squeaks of shoes on the court, cheers from the crowd and other grunts are hardly groundbreaking, but this time you also have the brilliant vocal work of Chick Hearn and Stu Lance, not only before matchups but also during the games as well. The commentary does throw up some repetition, especially if you're on a poor run of form or results. However, there are times where you can just feel that the commentators were wanting to go all out NBA Jam with some of the ridiculous lines that they throw out. I never felt that it got in the way of the overall gameplay, and in fact it enhanced the game in some areas to help add some insight into the way the game is playing out. It's hard really to find anything at all in NBA Courtside 2 which I disliked, as it's done everything you'd have hoped for in the sequel. They took the excellent core gameplay from the original, updated the rosters and went much further by adding new modes and animations. They also bumped up the graphics, and to top it all off they gave perhaps the best AI of any sports title on the N64. Now, being a sports game, this is often easy to find, cheap to pick up, and I feel that if you're only going to own one basketball or NBA title on the console, this is the one that I'd recommend you own. You can't go far wrong with NBA Courtside 2, and so for today's topic of conversation, I'd love to know what your favourite basketball game is on the N64. As always, sound off in the comment section down below, and until next time.